Sebagai guru lah, kita nak pastikan bila orang muda dapat semua maklumat itu, pertama sekali dia jangan percaya sepenuhnya lah. Kita kena ada 2 atau 3 persepsi. Sebab kadang-kadang bila dia dapat satu berita, terus dia nak berkongsi, dia nak sharing. Seolah-olah dia jadi orang yang pertama.
Kebanyakan kita mendapat maklumat melalui media. Jika pelajar saya dapat maklumat salah, sebenarnya saya ingin mendidik mereka untuk menjadi seorang doktor pada masa hadapan. Jadi, bayangkan jika mereka sudah bergraduat dan bekerja, mereka setelah diracuni maklumat yang salah, mungkin akan jadi haru biru kita punya ekosistem pada kemudian nanti. Setelah melalui kena menang modul ini, jadi kita boleh dapat tahu bahawa setiap maklumat yang kita dapat sebenarnya kita tidak boleh terima bulat-bulat. Kita sebagai pengguna harus bijak siapa pihak yang terlibat, siapakah target sasaran.
Secara automatiknya dia tak nampak kesan tu pada sekarang. Sebab kita mahu nak asas, mahu nak ikut flow, dia akan nampak lebih kurang berapa tahun kemudian. Setelah generasi yang belajar tu, mereka akan lebih rasa sikit berhati-hati. Itu yang penting. Sebab sekarang ni dalam media sosial dia suka je nak tulis apa. Jemputlah semua cikgu-cikgu untuk ikut Media Education Academy. Guru kena mengajar dan guru juga kena belajar. Kita tambah pengetahuan tu. Ambillah peluang ini cikgu untuk belajar literasi media untuk melahirkan pemikir kritis pengguna yang bijak.
Kita sebagai warga pendidik sebenarnya adalah amanah supaya kita memberi maklumat yang betul kepada masyarakat. Supaya masyarakat kita bila semuanya mendapat maklumat betul dan masyarakat kita berada dalam kelompok yang harmoni.
Hi, educators and members of the public. I'm Cladius Upin Jr, your moderator, and this is Media Education for All's celebration in conjunction with UNESCO's Global Media and Information Literacy Gmail Week. Thus, we want to make media literacy known in Malaysia. Plus, we also want to make Malaysia known by putting our series of events in the Gmail Week map with other countries. Yeah. And currently we are also live on the Owl and Badger Research Facebook, as well as MIFA Facebook and on YouTube. Welcome again. And now, you are making history today in this kickoff event with reality of media literacy in Borneo. And on the finale, we are going to announce all Cabaran MIA winners and officially launch the National Media and Information Literacy Educators Society, as well as MIA Lessons Material Source Bank. So do tell someone about today's session, and please tag us at Media EDU for All on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or Telegram. So this is me, your moderator. As you can see there, I'm a head disciplinary teacher in one of the schools in Labuan. And here's a bit about me. Through Arus academic collaborations, I wouldn't get this bronze medalist that was for TikTok's PDPR challenge that was held recently. And I won't also be able to be certified as the Google Certified Educator Level 1 and Level 2. So, frankly speaking, before becoming among the first 100 educators to pass in all MIA course modules in Malaysia, I didn't know actually a lot about media literacy and never heard the terms such as cognitive bias, information disorder. And I'm among the 90%, as you can see, that I'm among the 90% of Malaysians agree that fake news is a problem in Malaysia. Yeah. But now I do. So do join us at Media Education for All or at arus.cc/MEA to register and to know more about us. So this is our latest accomplishment from Asian Digital Media Award. Gold medalists, okay, we managed to get gold medalists for best projects for news literacy. And for your info, it's like the Asian Pulitzer Awards, if you know what I mean. All right. And also here are some of our initiatives in for this year to 2021, which are providing free training courses, teaching materials, source bank, and professional networking for educators. All right. Now, before we start, let's get to know our speakers. Our first speaker is none other than Mr. Norman Goh. He is an independent journalist and producer of Bicara Minggu Ini and currently pursuing Masters in Public Policy with the University of Malaya. He was a fact-checking journalist with Agence France Presse (AFP) and also an independent journalist with South China Morning Post (SCMP) based in Kuala Lumpur. He was the social media editor of Malaysia Kini prior to joining the government as the Special Function Officer to the Minister of Foreign Affairs on Media and Strategic Communications. He was a speaker during the World Association of Newspapers and News Publishers, 1IFRA, conference on audience intelligence and facilitated sharing experiences with Tempo and Suara.com in Indonesia on social media management, election reporting, and newsroom management. He has also trained editors and journalists on social media strategies for newsroom in Myanmar under the MDIF banner in 2017. Moving on to our next speaker, Deborah Dris. She's currently the group CEO of Owl and Badger Group, a parent company to Owl and Badger Research, an independent research company, and HNG Communications, a public relation and marketing firm, both based in Kuching, Sarawak. Prior to that, she was a secondary school teacher for 4 years and was part of the Teach for Malaysian TFM fellowship program. And during that time, Deborah was awarded the Excellent Service Award, Anugerah Perkhidmatan Cemerlang, in her second year of teaching. Congrats to that. She completed she completed a master science in education degree from the University of Edinburgh in 2018, and beyond work, she loves history, riding motorcycles, and making Spotify playlists. Okay. And our final speaker, Auzellea Kristin Mozihim. She's a passionate about education. Hi, Zel. Civic engagement and developmental issues. She advocates for youth political participation and integrating civic awareness into classrooms event. She co-founded Edufication, which is a platform to ignite education discourse and foster teacher empowerment, which is powered by teachers for teachers. She's also a campaigner for Undi Sabah, which is a sub-campaign under Undi 18 or Undi 18 to advocate for more youth political participation in Sabah. And recently, she has been selected as a fellow for the Fulbright Teaching Excellence and Achievement (TEA) program for Spring 2022 cohort, which is a 6-week professional development program for teachers held in a United States host university. And beyond that, I would also like to acknowledge our StreamYard manager, Yam Puyi. She's an ARUS Academic Community Engagement Lead and Teach for Malaysia alumna. And not forgetting our live chat host, Jessica Chen, MIFA co-founder and director of Women Who Code KL. Okay. So let's let's start our discussion, all right, that we are going to talk about. Deborah, let's start with access to information. Where are young Sarawakians getting their information these days? And then what excites or worries you based on what you have observed so far, Deborah?
Thank you, Claudius.
Okay, welcome.
I can't claim to know everything. So, but honestly, contrary to popular belief, young people in Sarawak actually do get their information from the internet lah. They do get information online. Although newspapers are still a very legitimate source of news, especially for older people, most major cities and even smaller towns actually have access to internet. The only difference is the speed of the internet. So obviously, how fast or how slow the internet will affect what kind of access you have, right? Whether it's videos
True.
or pictures or just text. And the thing is, at this point, there is not many localized content or not much localized content that are accurate or of quality. So most of the content that you find online are from West Malaysia, particularly from the Klang Valley. So our youth, especially urban youth, are getting information from movements and groups that are based in Semenanjung lah, mostly. What is worrying about this trend is that our youth tend to be more knowledgeable about issues that are not in their own backyard. So they know a lot more about things happening in KL. They know more a lot about national issues, nationwide issues, which are, of course, is equally important. But then they don't really know much about issues that are happening locally in Sarawak. This is especially for urban youth lah, especially for urban youth. If this continues to happen, then the future will be that our people will be heavily influenced by West Malaysia lah, and not really so much of things that are happening locally. So this can be actually very dangerous because it will reduce autonomy lah and decrease local empowerment among Sarawakians. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thanks for that, Deb. Now, how about you, Zel? What about you for Sabah scenario? Is it the same?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I think it is more or less the same because I think apart from what Deborah has said, I want to focus on the local news app. For Sabah, we have newspapers such as the Express, Sabah Times, But one of the things that I noticed is that they don't really resort to creating news apps. News apps, as in like for Awani, they have their own app, and then for Free Malaysia Today, they have their own app. Why I focus on app is because this will reduce reliance on other people's postings on social media, not only on Facebook, but also on Twitter, Instagram, and also sometimes TikTok. Yeah. So if the not only the youth but the general population, Sabahans, if they rely on other people posting the news, then they would miss out other more important news. So it's better if we have news apps that are tailored to the Sabahan issues. But for now, it's just on the website. They don't really have a news app. So that's what I noticed, because for me personally, I cannot say for other people. For me personally, I prefer to have the news coming at me. It's called push notifications, so that whenever there's a there's a new news headline, then I will, if it interests me, then I will press on it and read it immediately. So, and also I can just go straight to the app and just scroll through the news that I find interesting, rather than I rely on other people's opinion or their postings, because we can be influenced easily by other people's opinion. Like on Facebook, for example, they share a link from for example a news platform, and then they put the caption there is their opinion. But sometimes that's their opinion. How about our opinion? So if we directly read the direct news source, then we can form our own opinions lah, based on what we read. So that's why I find that what is lacking is the news app lah. Yeah. That's all.
Okay. Oh, okay, thanks, Zell, and also thanks to Deb just now. That's about how to access the information. And now moving on to the only gentleman here, Mr. Norman. So, Norman, you have a wealth of experience in journalism and have been a fact checker with AFP as well, right? So, when it comes to verifying information, okay, we know that misinformation and disinformation are part of the world, and then part of the world that we live right now, and it's not going away. So, what are the areas of concern when it comes into verification? Sorry, into info verification in Borneo specifically, and how are these affecting the people on the ground?
Thanks. I think over the past 2 years, I wouldn't say past 2 years alone, but it is more highlighted in the past 2 years because we are in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic, and there are a lot of unverified information being spread around. This sort of myth about COVID-19, myth about certain areas getting closed, certain areas kena PKPD ka and all that. So this kind of information are being spread around. I mean, in the past 2 years, even I've also seen quite a number of even posters were being Photoshop, changed. It says that, oh, now sudah boleh balik kampung for Hari Raya or Hari Kawai. So everybody starts spreading that without checking. So it's also one of the few problems. I would say not just problems. It's also challenges that people are being thrown with so many information, and yet they don't. And the problem is how to actually sieve and filter all this information. How to actually take this information and say, hey, let's hold back and then have a look first. I'll take one example. Just few hours ago, in a PCMC group. PCMC group here means Pakcik-Makcik WhatsApp group lah. In Sabah and Sarawak, very popular when it comes to WhatsApp and Telegram. The first thing they do is, ini kawan dari alumni, kita share dulu, kongsi dulu, I'm number one. This is the bad habit of our uncles, our parents, our aunties, of cepat kongsi tapi don't know when ask, dari mana benda ini? They said, oh, dari kawan group sebelah. So bila dia tanya, ini informasi yang palsu, this is a false information. Nanti kena tangkap polis. Oh, straight away they delete. So this is sometimes we don't want to go into that extent of putting this sort of punitive ways of educating the public in Sabah and Sarawak about using laws to curb misinformation and disinformation. But it has gone to a level where I would like to also highlight what Health Minister Khairy Jamaluddin has also pointed out, that let me first, before I go into misinformation and disinformation, let me explain the two differences. Misinformation is a situation where you share false information or false context, or half it's partially correct without you knowing it. That's misinformation. Disinformation, however, refers to you know that it's not true and you share it. So disinformation, this is the part where under our laws, the Multimedia Communication Act 1998, actions can be taken to those who spread false information that can create a sort of unnecessary panic and fear. If you remember last year, everyone, if you're in Kuching, you go to the supermarket, or even in KK, supermarket semua hilang toilet paper. I'm like, gunalah air. Why you use toilet paper? So these are the things that people are unaware about the consequences of not knowing how to verify information. So it can go from COVID-19, it can go to even religious issues. Of course, right now, benda yang paling heated up now is pasal timah whiskey. There's also the spread of misinformation or disinformation pasal let's say in KL case, pasal the Tokong case. So these are it's also one of the key things where it highlighted that people have to really think about learning new skills on media literacy. And that's why MIFA has started since beginning of the year on bringing media literacy to teachers and schools on how to not only be a responsible user on social media, on the digital space, but it also creates a safe space for everyone to use information responsibly. So that I will also bring on to what I will also talk about, what Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin also stated very clearly. He will go down and come down hard on those who spread disinformation on COVID-19 and COVID-19 vaccines, because when you receive wrong information, because that shapes your perception, that shapes your mindset on how you are going to make the decision, whether you are going to make the right decision, because it will affect not just you, it will affect everyone around you. So when we talk about media coverage challenges and news verification on this, right, we are not doing that great, but we are moving towards that. Of which I will use this opportunity to also highlight that I think journalists and editors of media organizations to play a more active role. Biarlah you can be orang retis kah, influencer kah, orang politik kah, menteri kah. It's very important that before we publish such news, we have to fact check. Fact check what are the claims, betul kah benar ni. These are basic things being a journalist as well. So these are, the important thing is that we are seeing two polarized area. One is the older group, the boomers, who are using smartphones these days, as well as the young people who are on TikTok and Instagram. So these two groups are actually in my opinion, they are in I would say, what's the word already? In a situation where they're easily, there are so many information that they couldn't handle. So it's very important when I touched earlier on the importance of media literacy in helping them to make the right decision in their everyday life. Back to you, Chloe.
Okay, before that, Norman, I think we have a question here from Mr. Joseph Ting.
Sure.
Yeah, Norman. So about misinformation, is there any legal action to any of them until now? What about misleading reports from reporters?
Okay, on misinformation and disinformation, this is where I think it's when it's clear cut of disinformation. For example, you say that COVID-19 vaccine has microchip, and that microchip can control your brain, or suddenly you take a 50 cent and then lekat, si melekat. You see, this are the thing under the law itself, the Multimedia and Communications Act 1998 has a particular law that can take action on that. That is Section 233, means abuse of network. But at the same time, our emergency ordinance on fake news, it is still in force after 6 months in August. So it can be fined up to about 100,000 to 500,000 because of that. And also misreporting. Okay, regarding misreporting, right, there's been effort by media organizations, journalists and editors to set up the Media Council since 2019. Until today, we're not so sure what's the status now, because Media Council is the platform for the public as well as the government to complain about misreporting on certain things. It's very important that this is a medium where we will call out for misreporting. But in the case of when there's misreporting, when they call out, right, it's very important for the public to also highlight that there is some misreporting by journalists. You have to call it out. It's why when we read news, right, it doesn't matter from where. As public, we are consumers, and then journalists are responsible to the public. So it's very important for the public to be the watchdog of the media as well. If they are misreporting, there are ways to actually, what you can do is you can write to the editor and then tell them that there is a misreporting. Or sometimes you can also use Twitter to call them out and say this is a wrong information or misinformation. So of course we won't go to the lines of the legal matters. Legal matters, yes. They are, when it comes to misreporting or wrong reporting, according to in a context of our law, we can use criminal defamation also. We won't go into that, but there's a civil suit of defamation on that. But I will highlight the importance of Media Council. That is the point where, in the case of any misreporting by journalists. But anytime, even yesterday's case on safe reporting also, is that just yesterday I tweeted one of the local newspaper actually published an image of a dead baby kes buang bayi. The problem is that why do we need to publish a graphical image? The blur was so little that you can see the face of the baby. So important that we need to remind, again, even for myself, I need to remind my friends. I said, hey, this can have a triggering, this is triggering to kids also, those who are reading news. And you have to think about, is it safe for children to look at such image, especially when everyone is consuming information online? Yeah, that's a long and a bit of short answer to that question.
All right.
Yeah,
Thanks,
sorry.
Norman. Okay. Yeah, Deb. Okay, you may add your
Thank
view.
you.
One of you, Deb. All right.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what Norman was saying. I was just curious because he was talking about misinformation and disinformation, but what Norman mentioned was mostly about official news outlets and journalists themselves. But I was wondering, maybe Norman could shed some light on that later. I was just
Sure.
wondering about people,
Individuals,
the
right?
public themselves, individuals on social media. Because just yesterday, I was looking through Facebook, and then there was the issue of Pandalela and the sexual harassment tweet that she put up. And then there was a lot of very strong comments on Facebook status by, there was a particular one that was quite I don't know what to say, it's quite controversial where the information that was being spread was clearly inaccurate, because clearly she stated that she was bullied but she was not raped. But then it became a huge thing, like, oh, Pandalela was raped, and then everybody became very emotional about it and started sharing it. So I think I wonder if individuals could also get reported, or could they get
Yes.
charged under the law as well? Because
Yes.
but that being said, sometimes I wonder whether, is it disinformation? Like, do they realize what they are sharing, or are they just emotionally sharing it, or is it just to gain clout? And gaining clout is not just a young person's game, I would say. Nowadays, even old people also want
Oh,
to gain
yes.
clout, right?
I
Because
agree.
all the older people are on social media, on Facebook especially, and they want to share and have this, like, a lot of likes and loves and whatever it is. So yeah, I wonder if individuals could also be charged.
Yes. Personal experience, I have taken things to, for example, when I see certain for example, comments when it's clearly disinformation or even misinformation, I've made several complaints to Aduan SKMM, and the public can actually use this as a channel to make complaints, and actions can be taken, because SKMM or MCMC, they have cooperation together with these social media giants like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all that. When we launch a report, investigation will be open to look at some of the things that can be done. And posts are usually taken down. And at the same time, if you see such content on Facebook, and on Facebook you have that platform reporting tool as well. If the content is not true, you can actually report. So there are two ways of taking actions. So in this kind of case, right, what I'm hearing from Deborah is that there are two cases. One is misinformation and one is disinformation. When disinformation group churn out a story from rape jokes and bully into kena rape, and then it changed into a different story. This is where how when you do that charades, this is what happened when one message turned into a different kind of creature. So first of all, when we see this kind of content, I mean, us as users, is that the first thing we should do? Where does this come from? If you see, please pass this on. This is from another group. This is from a doctor or a nurse in UK. Don't share. You know that this is something wrong. Let me give you a tip. You can actually copy the whole message and put it on Google, and you can actually find where the source is. You can actually dig out. Even fact-checking websites like AFP, AP, and Reuters, they have fact-checking team. They even have fact-check on that point, on that particular topic, for example. So for Pandaleila's case, if we are not careful, right, we could actually be, if you are, for example, if you are listening this, if you are following this video, please listen to this advice carefully. If you are not careful, you can be sued by Pandalela for criminal defamation. You can be sued by her for defaming her publicly. and also you can be taken action under. Okay, let me refresh a bit. If I'm not wrong, it's Section 504 of the Penal Code for outraging modesty because of the comments that you make towards, for example, if a user don't like Deborah, they comment bukan-bukan, Deborah can actually lodge a police report for against this user for calling her benar bukan-bukan, sexist kind of thing. Action can be taken. So remember, apa yang what you say and what you do on social media, you think no action can be taken on you. Yes, action can be taken on you if you cross the red line. So be more rational in our actions. Think about the repercussions of the comments you make, and take a step back and do a bit research. What's wrong with going straight to the person from the horse's mouth? You can always read what Panellela has posted up on her official page and also on her Twitter to double check the information. Tak salah. There's nothing wrong of hold back, check the information dulu whether this is correct rather than saya dengar ura-ura this. No, not that. Don't do that kind of thing. It will put you in a hot soup, and bila nasi sudah jadi bubur, that's too late. Alright, thanks.
Yes. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Norman. And thanks to Deb as well. But then let's move on to Deb. Okay, Deb. So your company, Owl and Badger Research, has a large following on IG for creating really interesting content about Sarawak issues, right? So would you agree that everyone is a content creator these days? And then where do we draw the line between what can be believed or not?
Okay. First of all, particularly for OB, we only analyze and summarize information based on sources. So we don't simply put things online. We also don't have any opinions. We don't take sides. Whatever we put up is just based on, we lay out the information, whatever is there, and try to make it as simple and accurate as possible for people to understand information easily. Of course, it does take a lot of effort and time for us to find the information and package it to ensure that it's accurate and easy and interesting and clickable and not just pure clickbait. But that's the thing, right? How many people actually have time to do that? And as individuals, how many people actually bother to verify news? And this is not just young people, it's also old people who most of the time, when they receive something in WhatsApp, even like my own family, they will see immediately oh, is this true? They'll ask me straight, is this true? Or maybe they don't even ask if it's true. They'll just straight oh, have you heard this? Whatever it is. I don't want to repeat any fake news here, so I'm not going to repeat what they mentioned. But that being said, there are also some good examples of unofficial pages that are using their page for good things. Like I think Sarawak Edition, they like to do news live local reporting. Like the other day, there was a car that drove into Sarawak River near Satok there, I think, and then they were already there doing a live session. They also keep mentioning we cannot confirm any details for now. This is just what we see, and they told their followers to wait for official reports. So not all social media pages are bad. Not all social media pages are fake, but it's just,
Deb.
I guess,
It's
I guess
like
we
citizen journalism, right?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. That's right. Yeah. So, the most important thing is if you were to turun Padang and you yourself do a live down, it's very important to always verify that you are not the official news. You have to wait for the official statement, whether it's what is how many victims or what actually happened. I think that's very, very important to state that you don't know the thing, because you might be committing misinformation without realizing it at that point. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Deb. Auzellea, do you have anything that you want to add on what Deb has mentioned just now?
Yeah, just now you asked Deb regarding everyone is a content creator nowadays. I remember that one time when, of course, this is about Borneo, media literacy in Borneo. So I would like to highlight the time when it was the issue when Sabah Sarawak was claimed to be a they will claim to be wilayah, if you guys remember that. Yeah, and then I think it started from this one infographic. Yeah, so that particular organization, I'm not going to say which organization, they posted the thing. It's an infographic and it looks very convincing. It looks like something very, very official, you know, and people were like convinced that, oh yeah, okay, Sabah Sarawak wilayah, you know, with all this issue with MA63 and all. So people were spreading that kind of infographic. But actually, when and then the next day, I mean, I was yeah, I saw that infographic, but I was skeptical at first because where's the official statement? You know, this is not official. The infographic is not official, even though it comes from an organization. But people have already spread it around. People were, especially Sabahan and Sarawakians, they were like jumping for joy somehow. Yeah, but in the end, it was actually not true. The next day, only the politicians and whatnot, those who are involved in MA63, the amendments, they said, okay, nothing is changed yet. So, but before that, the night before that, it was like, boom, you know, WhatsApp groups, it was, yeah, meletup lah. So that, I think that's one of the things that even organizations, any organizations, that they have to like fact check as well, like what Deborah said lah. Yeah.
All right, thanks very much, Zel. Okay, Zel, I have a question for you. Okay, it says that we know that teachers, okay, like me as well, I'm a teacher as well, have a big role to play in empowering young Sabahans and Sarawakians with media and information literacy. So, Zel, what can be done so that we can raise more critical thinkers and smarter media consumers in our communities?
Okay. All right. So yeah, of course, teachers
In your
have
teacher's
a big,
perspective.
yes. Yeah. In an educational perspective, yeah, especially yeah, for our school children. So there are a few things that we need to consider. Okay, for the teachers, firstly, um, the teachers themselves, they need to develop habits of inquiry. That is the keyword, yeah. Habits, develop habits of inquiry when it comes to consuming media. So if we teach our students about media literacy, being critical of the media, then we also need to develop that kind of habit. So teachers themselves, we ourselves need to be critical thinkers first, and then effective communicators and active citizens in today's world before they can transfer these roles to their students. So it needs to start with us first. So if we have this in mind, this will set the foundation. I repeat, foundation for media literacy education, when we integrate this concept in our classroom lessons. So, and also this is to teach the students to read and think critically about the techniques that media makers use to communicate and persuade. So we need to develop a desire to question and enabling them to be more open to changing their opinions in light of new information. Also, we need to focus on all types of media messages, not only in newspaper reports or online news platforms, but also on Twitter, on Facebook, on TikTok, especially because I noticed on TikTok, teenagers nowadays, they're more into TikTok. And there is this one, I don't know, a genre of TikTok whereby it's like an infotainment. It's only 1 minute until 3 minutes for TikTok. The format is like that, but they can cram a lot of information into just the 1 to 3 minute video. But sometimes that one also, they are spreading misinformation as well, because just like 2 nights ago, I decided to just check this. I scrolled through TikTok, and then there's this one user. She was talking about an issue lah, and then I decided to check. And in fact, and then apparently what she said was, it's actually just a conspiracy theory. It's not really a fact. Yeah. So that's why the main thing is not only TikTok, Twitter, or Instagram, but not only Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, but also nowadays it's TikTok. So we have to be careful. We have to be critical of those types of media as well. And then, of course, the issue nowadays with teachers, most of them they say, alah tiada masalah, saya perlu kasih habis ni syllabus ini banyak kerja, you know. But then media literacy is not a new subject, but we have to view it as as a thing to transform our lessons. Yeah. So it needs to be curriculum driven. It's not a new subject. It's curriculum driven. That means, for example, if you teach English or any other subjects, you can integrate media literacy activities into your lessons. Like, for example, when it comes to producing media, we write and then when it comes to consuming media, we read or we listen. So those for example, in language class, there are 4 skills like reading, writing, listening, and speaking. So we can use these skills to like integrate it with media literacy activities. So it also encourages civic engagement. So we just need to just use for example, like I said earlier, for English class, we can just use these 4 skills and integrate that how we want to teach media literacy with our students. And it needs to be curriculum driven. It's not a new subject. Don't view it as new subject. Of course, it needs preparation, but then if you get used to it, it will be very simple. So I think what media education for all is doing is to attract teachers to teach media literacy in the classroom. And also, when creating lesson plans that integrate media literacy, we need to include the right questions. We cannot just just create lesson plans without any objective. No. So we need to the questions that we need to ask the students, it derives from these core principles, which are audience and authorship, which is focusing on purpose, economics, impact, and response. And then the messages and meanings, which relates to the content, the technique of how it is delivered, and how we interpret the message. And also, lastly, representation and reality, which refers to context and credibility. Of course, in the classroom, we can use the 5WH form, 5WH questions. Most teachers, they know what these are. Yeah, we can use this questioning form in order to cater to these core principles that I have mentioned earlier. And also, lastly, I think one of the most important part is we cannot just for teachers, we get excited to teach students about media literacy or being critical of the media. So this will, of course, we want them to be critical thinkers. But how about, of course, this empowers students. So in order for this to be realized, make sure that we let them make the decisions in the school setting as well. It's not just in the classroom, but in school settings, so that it does not go to waste. Their critical thinking does not go to waste. So there's no use if we teach them about critical thinking, elements of media literacy, but impede them from applying this in the school setting. Yeah. So that's all from me.
Okay, thanks,
Thank you.
Zell. Norman, do you care to talk about in the journalism perspective on the same matter?
I think in journalism, one of the key things is that we have to show a good role model, and also be a lead by example is so very important when it comes to media and information literacy. If journalists themselves do not have that skills and capability to actually do in their daily reporting, how do you expect the public to actually put the trust to media? How do you cannot blame the public for saying that saya tak boleh percaya lah ini wartawan selalu omong-omong benar yang lain. So these are the important thing. If journalists there themselves are not equipped with the skills, what do you expect about the public? So it's very important that in every day in our work, same like what Zell has also highlighted, this very simple basic thing, the 5W and 1H. Those are the basics of our work as journalists. That's one. Number two, also you have to remember there are ethical codes, code of ethics when it comes to reporting as well. One key thing I would like to highlight here is that in our reporting, it's also very important to think about whether the stories bring any harm to people or to a certain community. Because in every story, in every article that we write, it has implications, it has repercussions also. So in the case, it may be to a vulnerable group of community, to a certain people. So it is, we have to be very careful. I think I will go to a very, very simple thing. Stories involving children. Is it ethical? You know, first of all, when we ask about this, sometimes I usually share with friends and say, hey, I know you want to share about your kids on social media, but do you know that it's also unsafe when you share your personal details and all that? So it's also important that when even when it comes to reporting, we cannot show photos of kids in our reporting, even when it comes to if a child or a teenager is involved in certain crime, they cannot name, we cannot put their faces because, again, they are protected under Child's Act 2001. So journalists have a very important role here. It's not just, generally people will have this perception towards journalists that kerja you is only transcribe what from the press conference. No, you have to go beyond that. You have to be critical in asking questions as well. Not just asking question, but asking the right question. Same lah. I mean, for Deborah and Zell, sometimes we also teach our students also ask the right questions. But if you don't ask question, your questions will be left unanswered. I think this goes to one of my. I remember this quote from Confucius: if a person does not ask a question, is fool for life. So it's very important, even in the course of our work, is that in any situation, our job is to, before we go and write any stories, it's very important that we understand what's the background, what's the story about, so that in our writing, it's very important that we are not just reporting what's going on the ground, we also have to provide the context and the background, because tak semua orang yang tahu what happened in, I'll take for example, the flood, the flash floods in Penampang, for example, or the rising cases of not rising cases, let's say accidents in Kuching, for example. Goes back to basics. Check, ask question, where does the authority come from, what happened, what is the context, what happened to that person. You provide a bigger picture. It's not this happened, where it happened, how it happened, but you need to think about what's the background. So for a reader who does not follow the story will understand the bigger picture of it. So this is the basics of not just about journalism itself, it's also the basics of how we consume media and information in various different formats. This is a short perspective from my side. Thanks.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Norman. Okay, it seems that what Deb, Norman, as well as Zell have mentioned here, it's all about misinformation, disinformation, and the knowledge to know on media and information literacy, and the fact that we need to know more about it. Do make sure to check it online or find the source of the news and everything. And yeah, I think Norman, Zell, and Deb, that's all that I have for this session. What about we go to the Q&A session? Is it okay? I think we have a few questions here from our audience. And yeah, to the audience, don't forget, okay, at the end of this session, we shall give you the registration form and as well as the feedback form. Okay, later on. Okay, this one from Lai Mui Kyun. There are some old stories or pictures dated years back that's still being circulated till now. Is there a way to check them out or verify the sources and credibility? Okay, anyone?
Okay, this one I can jawab. If you receive, let me give you a very simple one. If you remember in Kelantan, there's a massive flood in Kelantan back in 2015. Remember air teh tarik in all of Kota Baru and Gua Musang. So photos like that gets recirculated all the time, and even photos from Myanmar. I think one of the ASEAN countries, the roads were I think because of landslide, you can see a huge crack on the road, and people say that it's in Tatao in on the way to Miri. So this kind of pictures gets recirculated, and people just put a headline, percaya bulat-bulat. But one way you can actually one way you can also do is when you download that, you can use this Google reverse image search. So you download and then you upload it, and then you key in some words. You look at it, when you look at the photos, you can actually find where is the source. The source does it come from? Say for example, if you receive, I think from Lai was asking the question, right? If we look at it, right, contohnya if there is a flash flood in Lahad Datu, okay, you look at it, when it happened, got pictures kah? Is it true? So without sharing that, you can also check on Twitter and Facebook. You search for Lahad Datu, some of the keywords, flash flood or banjir, and then Lahad Datu. Then you look for it. You check the date. Betul kah? Who actually shared it first? Then you can actually, when you scroll further down, you see 2014 lah. Sometimes you see 2012 lah. So these are some of the very simple checks that you can do by Google reverse image, and also search the search capabilities that's available on Twitter and also on Facebook. Some of the very quick ways you can actually do this. Usually you tengok hashtag kan. Say if there is recently, just last week, there's a big fire at Kek Loksi Temple in Penang. People are sharing that. Betul kah? Then you check. Number one, if there is a fire, there should be an emergency report from the bomba in Georgetown, for example. These are some of the things that you can check. Is there a statement? Is there a message from the authorities? So these are a few things you can check. Even just couple of months ago, there's a big fire in Batu Kawah, in Kuching. I remember someone shared with me that video. So I have to check. So I have to find out, where does this video come from? True or not? Are people talking about it on Twitter or in Facebook? So the next thing I found out, Sihua Daily published the story, and they got the comments from the police and Balai Bomba. So that is already, that you can use, you already have a news report, that is your source of information. But a very important thing is that jangan cepat-cepat sangat you share, but at the end of the day, you're not careful, right? Sometimes these videos contains, if that person passed away and you are sharing that video, how would the person from the family actually feel if you are the one sharing all this information, sharing this? So think about the family members who may be inflicted of that. So be careful on that. So these are some of the very simple ways, a few steps you can do on fact checking on the videos or photo. If a video, you can actually screen cap. You look out for the video kan. Say, let me see, somewhere in May, April or May, there's a Lawan rally in KL. So people are sharing another video of the whole street filled with with people wearing black shirt. But that video is actually in Sydney. So always look out, when there's a video, look out for landmarks. Where does this come from? So how do I know that video is actually from Sydney? Because all the pokok sudah tak ada daun. And then the buildings are so, you don't see this kind of building punya structure in Malaysia. So, and then after that you go find, there's a shop there called North Face. Then immediately on the same day I go and find out, it's actually a protest against lockdown in Sydney. So these are few steps. Actually, for video it's a bit harder, but there are also few steps that you can do. For image it's also faster. Look out for landmarks, look out for official statements, look out for news reports. Very important on that. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Norman. And then we have another question here from, I think, Mr. Joseph Ting.
I think sudah jawab, right, this one? This one sudah jawab tadi.
Oh, that one already? Okay,
Yeah.
Hold on. Yeah. So is there any other question there, Puyi? Hold on, yeah. Okay, in the meantime, again, to our audience here, don't forget that at the end of this session, we are going to post the feedback form, and you will get the certification of attendance. Okay, certificate of attendance for this session. Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. So Norman again. I think I can, or maybe Zell. How can one learn to become a good citizen journalist? Or anyone?
I can take this one. I think this
Oh.
one is quite simple. This one is the most important thing is to always check before you share lah. I know it's quite exciting to be the first one to share something because cloud, right? And people, you want to be like the to be known as the most informative person nowadays. Everybody is fighting for who can get the most juicy piece of information online, and the news cycle is moving so fast nowadays that you always want to get the next piece of news. But to be a good citizen journalist, I think the 5 Ws and 1 H, that is the most basic lah that can be applied to it. But also making sure to not simply push out information, because once you put it out, whatever it is, whether it's accurate or inaccurate, that will be the first point of reference for everybody. Whatever you put out after that, there will be less people looking at that because they already see the first one before that. So yeah, I think it's for everybody, individuals as well, not just relying on reporters. Everyone should be careful of what they choose to share outside. Just now, Norman was mentioning about how you can Google reverse image things and find on Google search and Twitter and all that. I think the most basic thing, what you can do also in the context of Sarawak, what I usually do, because news in Sarawak is always so hard to find out whether it's true or not. I usually just type in the event or the thing that I see. Like, let's say, okay, fine, Batu Kawah fire. Put Batu Kawah fire and then just put Borneo Post, or put Dayak Daily, or put Utusan Borneo, and then you know for sure whether it is legitimate. And even if it doesn't come out immediately, you can just wait for a few hours. For sure something will come out, and if it doesn't come out, then it means it's not true. So we just have to tell ourselves to be a bit patient lah, even though the news is not instant, but it's always better to be a bit patient than spread wrong things online, because once it's out there, you can't take it back anymore. Yeah.
If
All
I
right,
can
thank-
tambah a little
All right,
bit
sure.
on how to be a
Okay.
good citizen journalist. If you, let's say, you're running page like Sarawak Edition ke apa-apa kan, it's also good that you keep good relations dengan polis polis daerah Kuching ke, or polis daerah Kota Kinabalu ke, because you know that you are a citizen journalist. Like personally for me, if I see any problem, contoh if someone kena tangkap polis ke because of they lukis kartun of a politician ke, first thing I do, I call up the ACP lah. Betul ke any statement? So to be a good citizen journalist is also to keep good contacts with the police, with the Balai Bomba, so you can verify the information from there. So like what Deborah has mentioned, when you Google for the Borneo Post, these are the media organizations, but also check out like the Facebook pages of the police, the Bomba, even city councils. So they will usually have official statements from there. That's where you can counter check, or even you drop a message to their Facebook page to ask a question, to check with them. These are some of the simple things, very straightforward ways that you can actually improve to be a good citizen journalist.
All right, thank you, Norman. Now I think we have another question, from Lai Mui Kyun. Zell, how about you answer this question? What media awareness activities that you can recommend for primary school students? And then after this, I think we should conclude this session. It seems that it's almost 1 hour already. Okay, so Zell?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Okay, so media awareness activities, I think as long as it is suitable for little children, then I think it's okay. But the main thing is for you to focus on the core principles that I mentioned earlier, which are the main thing is you focus on the questions that you ask. Yeah, rather than just, because it's no use if you just give them, for example, a video, maybe on YouTube, for example, or on TikTok, but we give, the questions are not suitable. So we need to ask the right questions. But I think as simple as a YouTube video, because for reading, maybe primary school children, they are not into reading. I mean, not all are, but yeah, if you want something fun, you can just maybe look up some videos online, or maybe TikToks. Yeah, TikTok videos, 1 minute video, I think. But it, like I said, it needs to be suitable for their age. Yeah, it don't include anything that's, relating to violence and all that. And also, like I said, the main thing is the core principles that we need to ask, the questions. Yeah, 5WH questions. And also, um, yeah, the audience and authorship, you can ask them, who is this video for, who created this video, for example, and what is the message, the meaning, representation and reality, what is the context and credibility. Those are the things that get them to think critically at a very young age. So we need that. Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much, Zell. Okay, yeah. For the rest of the question, okay, you may ask the question or you may post the question on our Telegram group, as our manager has posted there. It says that do post your group on the Telegram group for Media EDU for all. Okay, and now I think it's best to share with you the events that we are going to do for this 7 day. And as you all know, today we are kickstarting our event with this reality of media in Borneo, and then tomorrow at 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. it will be a briefing session on the Persatuan Pendidik Literasi Media dan Maklumat Kebangsaan. Okay, and then on the following day, 26th of October, it's Ingat Senang Jadi Warganet, and it's the information and media ethics from the perspective, from the Islamic perspective that we should know about. And then on the 27th of October, it's the Malaysia media landscape and its influence on Chinese Malaysian society. And on the 28th of October, there are going to be a talk about the Indian society. And then on the 29th of October at 3 to 5 p.m. It's the Bengkel Asas Literasi Media dan Maklumat to educators. Okay, for all educators, teachers, lecturers, even tutors also can join this basic workshop. All can be done by joining us at arus.cc/global MIL week. All right. And then this is on the finale. Okay. On the finale. Oh, sorry. This is not the finale. Yeah, that's the finale, which is on the 30th of October, where we will announce the Cabaran Mia winners, and then the launching of lessons material source bank, as well as the launching of our Persatuan Pendidik Media dan Literasi Peringkat Malaysia. Okay, so yeah. Other than that, I think I should also tell you about this announcement where Sarawak State Library is also celebrating Global MIL Week. Okay, in conjunction with UNESCO Global MIL. So do visit their Facebook at pustaka.sarawak. A lot of information and a lot of challenges, and then competition were held as well. So yeah, this is the feedback form, and you may scan the QR code, and don't forget to follow us at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and also Telegram. And do check us at arus.cc/global meal week. And while the audience is scanning the QR code there, Norman, what is the one thing you want to tell the audience in Sabah and Sarawak, especially regarding this session today?
I think regarding today's session, is to show that how important it is to not just read whatever is being given to you. Is to be very judicious. I wouldn't use the word judicious. I would say, whatever information that you get, you gotta check first, and then you read beyond what you like to read. Like for example, one person can have like, I like to read the Star, and I read the Star only. So actually, you have to start thinking about broadening of your perspective of what you read. So you can read the Star, Malaysia Kini, News Straits Times. Don't forget the Borneo Post. You have to understand about what's happening around you. Kalau tak, nanti you jadi katak di bawah tempurung. So you open out your horizon by what we call as lateral reading. It's very important. Reading on one issue, then you broaden your views with reading from various other sources of information. So today, what we have also highlighted is that news and information may not just come from journalists, it may also come from citizen journalists, from influencers that we follow. But however, how we perceive is always important for us to check and verify the information before passing it on to another person. So that is the role that all of us have to play, not just the journalists, not just the authorities, but the society have an important role in creating a safe space for everyone.
All right, thanks, Norman. Deb, what's the one thing we want to tell our audience?
I think most importantly, it's very important to also know what's going on around you. I agree with what Norman said. Yes, katak di bawah tempurung, but I think it's not really a katak di bawah tempurung issue now. It's more of like katak seberang laut, because all the news that we are consuming is all news from not where we are coming from. So yes, be global citizens. Yes, understand what's going outside of your area. But I think more importantly, go outside, go and see what's going on outside in your community, because that's where everything starts from. So yeah, yes, I agree. Read the Borneo Post. I read the Borneo Post almost every day, and also good to, if you are interested in being global, sorry, not global, citizen journalism. I think it's very good to start picking up on that, where you can report local news in your area, but always make sure that the news that you report is accurate and does not contain any false information. Yep.
Okay, thanks, Deb. All right, Zel.
Yeah. So in the midst of us consuming information from global perspective and also local, regional perspective, we need to build once again, I would like to emphasize that we need to develop habits of inquiry, because that's the foundation that sets us, that can enable us to question, is this verified, is this credible, and whatnot. So yeah, the main foundation is to develop habits of inquiry. And also, for example, the citizen journalist, I think we can also teach the students on how to become citizen journalists by at the same time teaching about media literacy in the classroom, because of course they see what is going on maybe around in their city, their towns, or at their kampongs. They can report. So but yeah, we need to have teachers on board in order to tell them how can they report these things, how can they become good citizen journalists as well. Yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot, Zel. All right. Yeah. Again, to all the audience, don't forget to scan this QR code. If you couldn't scan the QR code, I think our StreamYard manager, the backstages, has post the link again for you to get your certificate of attendance on this session. And once again, I would like to thank Norman, Okay, thanks for being our speaker today. Deborah, thanks a lot. And then Zell also, thank you very much. And yeah, to all the audience, do not forget that we also have our next session tomorrow evening at 8:30 till 9:30, where we are going to give you a brief on the Persatuan Pendidik Media dan Maklumat Literasi, MIFA. Okay. So with that, I would like to wrap this session for today. And thanks to my StreamYard manager, Puyi, as well, my live chat host, Jessica. Thanks a lot. And from me, Sabah, Sarawak, Borneo, keras bah. Okay, thank you. That's all. Bye.
Demo tahu tak?
你知道吗？ Tahukah anda?
Tahu sih.
Tahu tak? Hanya 4 daripada 10 rakyat Malaysia.
Hanya 4 daripada 10 orang di Malaysia percaya berita yang diorang baca.
Daripada 10 orang rakyat Malaysia, 4 orang saja yang percaya berita yang mereka baca.
63% daripada penduduk dunia kita percaya bahawa orang law ni tak boleh bezakan antara maklumat betul dengan maklumat salah.
Tokoi, ini masalah besar tau.
Toh adalah masalah besar. Kami nak nyambut semua kita orang pendidik Malaysia ikut kami.
Kami menyeru para pendidik Malaysia
我们呼吁马来西亚的教育工作者参与我们，一同培育马来西亚国民的媒体识读能力。
Sertai kami untuk membina kemahiran literasi media dan maklumat di negara kita.
Cepat-cepat kita pakat reti belako pasal literasi media dengan maklumat.
கல்வியாளர்கள் ஆகிய நாங்கள் இந்நாட்டின் முன்னோடிகள். இது தவறான தகவல்களை பரப்புவதற்கு எதிரானது.
Let's empower our students together.
快来参与我们的 Media Education Academy 吧！完成免费课程后，还能获得文凭呢。
Jom perkasakan anak didik kita bersama-sama.
Jom, jangan duk ralik lagi. Kita sertai Media Education Academy.
Jom sertai kami di Media Education Academy.